He was awarded the title of Man of the Year and acted as a true pillar of his community. So, why would someone so maliciously gun him down?
It was a peaceful Saturday afternoon in Inkster, Michigan, except on Lehigh Street. A murder was committed. On August 31st, 2019, around 12:40 p.m., a 50-year-old black male named Anthony Jones, also known as Nick by loved ones, was driving on Lehigh Street near Princess Avenue, looking for potential houses to buy in the quiet neighborhood, as he was an entrepreneur that buys and renovates houses to sell to people.
According to investigators at 12:45 p.m., Nick was stopped by his murderer. The murderer blocked Nick's red Saturn car, preventing him from driving away, where the murderer then stepped out of their vehicle with a gun and shot Nick in broad daylight in his own car. The shot killed Nick instantly. According to George Williams, a Crime Stoppers spokesman, the murderer got back in his red car and drove west on Lehigh Street. There are theories of what happened before the shot, as this seems too sudden. Some say that the murderer was mad about Nick's driving and shot him for it. However, nothing has been confirmed up to this date.
The Michigan police arrived at the scene the day of the murder and started investigating for any evidence that would help catch the murderer. Unfortunately, there wasn't much left behind from the murderer that could give a big enough lead. The most evidence they had was his body, along with the bullet and the car he was shot dead in. The auto mechanics and forensics took the vehicle to look for evidence, with the body going to autopsy, who gave the bullet to the ballistics for firearm analysis. But that still didn't give them enough evidence to make a confirmation on who murdered him.
What didn't help was the suspect's motives when they killed Nick. It was off to his loved ones, since Nick was known to be a kind and caring man in Inkster, as stated here.
He was the type of person that would give you his last clothes off his back. That was the kind of person Nick was. So we know that this person did not know Nick, because all he had to do was say, man, I need a couple of dollars. Nick would be the one that would do that. He would just reach in his pocket. Probably he needed it for a bill himself, but he was the type of person who would give his money away.
I've known Nicky all of his life, and he was always very courteous, always very thoughtful. He loved his family.
Nick wasn't just an average citizen in our community, he was family to everybody. His actions and commitments to this community, its void impacts us all.
Nick was part of the total fabric of this community. He provided service for all of the churches that are in this community and did it at a very nominal cost, and often sometimes for free.
Nick spent his time either videographing or photographing whenever it's a high school reunion or a wedding photo. He also spent his time at a church where he faithfully served for 30 years.
Later on, the police did make an arrest on the very next day, September 1st of 2019, where they suspected and arrested a 29-year-old man from Detroit, another city in Michigan. However, it turned out the police caught the wrong person, and he was released from custody. After the false arrest and the release of the 29-year-old man, the police didn't have any other evidence or information that could lead to another suspect or anything that could help the case be solved. This made the case go cold. To this day, Crime Stoppers have a reward of $2,500 for any information that could help solve the Anthony Nick Jones case.
The police should have questioned the residents more because of that person potentially being someone who is in the neighborhood or is related friends of someone in that neighborhood. Another thing is that there was no video evidence that had been released yet. There definitely should have been video evidence since the crime took place in 2019, meaning there should have been at least one person who had a camera on their house or car showing what happened. The media could have done more to spread the story, as there were mostly articles and media videos that were years after the murder, showing the family was still fighting to find the murderer, having hope for justice.
Unfortunately, this case will most likely never end, as Michigan State Police Michael Shaw said that this case remains open, but also states that there's no investigative leads. The murderer hasn't been caught for 6 years with barely any evidence, and them having an info line for $2,500 for any information, and they haven't gotten anything. It's very unlikely that it will ever be solved unless the murderer feels guilty enough to turn themselves in. Hopefully, there is a chance someone will one day call the Crime Stoppers and give some good information to start an investigative lead on who the murderer might be. But for now, Nick's family and friends will have to wait. We'll have to wait till Nick can get justice that he deserves for all the 6 years.
The church that Nick served for 30 years made him an official obituary where people can learn about Nick's life. Not only that, people can send in sympathy gifts to his loved ones and can plant trees in memory of Anthony Nick Jones, where his skills, talent, and kindness is wasted.
If you have any information regarding this murder, we're asking that you make an anonymous call to Crime Stoppers at 1-800-SPEAK-UP or visit us on the web at www.1800speakup.org. Your information is always received 100% anonymously, and you will always be paid anonymously.